I think we might be back. Let's see. We've got camera. We've got audio. But we got no viewers. That's okay. We're not doing this for views. See if we can get Revit to open some files now. I think the next question is do I want to record these in ultra wide? Or do I want to record them in 1080? Oh, decisions. Come on, Revit. You know you want to do it. Just open. Wonder if I need to try 2024. Oh, we're just not having much luck today. It's a sign. The universe does not want me doing Revit tips. Let's go back to the link to model multitasker. Oh my goodness, JavaScript. All right, I'm wondering if all right. So what did I do? Let's go open. Let's just open the sample structural project by itself. Let's just see if we get a quicker opening time. That was much faster. Maybe I spoke too soon. I don't think it's having to convert. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Because the sample projects, I think they started the sample of these Snowden Tower sample projects in 2023. So they might still be shipping them out in 2023 format. We'll find out here in just a little bit. We're already at 80%. And I think we were waiting for about 20 minutes last time. So yeah, I think that that's an improvement. Let's just see if we can browse around in this. To be fair, these are some pretty big detailed sample projects that Autodesk has provided to us to use. I mean, yeah, I think that's about as smooth as we're going to get for what we're dealing with right now. These all scope boxes. Facades. Okay. What is it? Okay, discipline here is structural. If we set this to coordination. Not a lot better. There's just a lot going on, is all there is. All right, so I'm going to set this back to structural. And then, so what do we think? I think I'm just going to record these in ultra wide and go from there. The question is that when OBS is running, is my screen recording software going to be able to handle also recording at the same time? Let's see. Hello, Bangladesh. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. If you're just joining us, I've been working on, I'm trying to get some old videos and tips that I did almost 10 years ago. Oh goodness, almost 20 years ago. Updated for a more modern interface for Revit. All my tips were done before there was even a ribbon. So I'm just going through some of those and kind of planning out what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. And the first thing I'm doing is talking about working on linked models. So, and the tip is essentially, if you wanted to change something in one of these models, so this is all in structural issues. There we go. Okay. So all these floors and everything, they are in this structural model. But if I wanted to move something in the architectural model, I would need to open this and unload it, right? Or if I were to go and open it from the hard drive, so if I go to the D drive, wherever that is, right? Program, Autodesk, Revit, samples. So if I open the architectural model here, sample, boom, I'm going to get this message that says it has to be unlinked, and I'm going to take a risk. And this is the big thing, right? So you cannot use the undo redo buttons after unloading a link. So all the work that I've done, if I were to do a bunch of stuff, my entire undo redo history is gone after I do this. Why that's the case, I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's a really good reason for it. I'm sure there might be from a coding standpoint. All I know is that we don't like doing this. So what we do instead is we open another instance of Revit. And we open it in that instead. And I think for the purposes of the video that I'm going to record, I'm already going to have that instance open so we don't have to sit and wait during the recording. All right. So if I go and open, I think I actually already got it sitting right here. All right. We can see we've got it open, and it didn't have to be unloaded from the other one. So it's still loaded in right here. Now we can make some changes and whatnot. So if I go in here, and what should I do? What would be a good sample of something to do? This model moves much better, much better. By the way, this is a really nice sample model that Autodesk has provided, that they got from, I can't remember who did Snowden Towers, but it's a really nice model. There's even a point cloud that I believe comes with it. Let me see, manage links. Could have sworn there was a point cloud in this. How to use this project. So, well, maybe not. I think you can download a point cloud that accompanies this. So let's see here. This is all kind of right here. So if I were to just drop, let's say, I'm just going to throw a box of walls on the street right here, because our house in the middle of the street, kind of floating above it there. Yeah, that's fine. So if I save this now, which is going to take forever. No, it didn't take that long. And then reload over here, that wall should pop up right here. Hopefully, if phasing is all set correctly, we should now see some walls that pop up over here. They didn't. So now I get to figure out why not. So let's see. Oh, wait. Or are they? Nope. So this is in what phase? New construction. And what's the phase of this? Show all new construction. Is it because show complete orthographic architectural? Oh, there they are. So because it was because of the discipline that was set in. Oh, you know what? It's not showing non-structural walls when it's in structural. Okay, so yeah. So that makes sense. Those are non-structural walls. So I could come in, and if I wanted to make these walls structural, let's see here, structural walls, and now I can save it. Residential roofs, like so many roofs. Make it always get stuck. Also, there's no video for how to make screen porch in Revit. That's a good one. You mean like materials, like how to do materials, screen porch materials? For the roofs, I saw some roofs having curved slopes. Oh, like on the ends where it's got like a I've always heard it called like a French curve soffit. Excuse me. Those are a little bit more difficult. I might be able to pull up some projects and show you after I do some recordings here. Let me just see if this worked real quick. So I'm going to do a reload, and these structural walls should now show up in the structural discipline. There's our structural walls. Okay. All right, so I think I've got what I need. I'm going to leave this stuff open so I don't have to wait for it. And I'm just going to do my recording real quick. So let's I can't undo any of that. So I've got to undo my walls here, save. And then let's reload this. And the goal here is for these to be little short 5 minutes-ish tips. Somebody can just watch 5 minutes of the video, right? Which I guess if they're watching it on YouTube, that's going to be like 4 commercial breaks. But the idea here is that somebody can watch this really quickly if they're looking for something specific. So here we go. I think I'm going to start a recording on this. Let's see how it goes. Nope. There we go. All right, today's Revit tip of the day is going to be, if you're working with linked models, it gets really annoying when you try to change something that's in a linked model. So we've got this, we're using the Snowden Tower sample models. I'm in the structural model now. Now let's say we need to add something architecturally, right? Well, if you go and open the sample file, in this case, the architectural model, here we go, architectural, to make that change. If I hit open, we get these lovely warning dialogues that says, yeah, you can open it, but we're going to unload it from this model. Sometimes we don't want that to happen. We want both of them to stay in there. We don't want the architectural model to unload. And actually, more importantly, this next warning, you cannot use the undo redo buttons after unloading a link. So once you do this, you lose your entire undo redo history. We don't want that. So what you can do instead is you can actually open another instance of Revit. So I right click to the Revit icon. You can open another instance of Revit. It just so happens that I already have Revit open with the architectural model. And you can see here, I've got the architectural model open side by side. And now I can actually make changes. So I'm just going to add some walls here in the middle of our street, because that's where we like our house. All right. And just so it shows up in the structural model, I'm going to make these structural walls. And if I save this, I can actually reload into this model, and those changes will be reflected in this model. So this is a great way to be able to keep your undo redo history while also making changes in your model. There they are. There's those walls. You can see that they're in the architectural model, and there it is. There's your quick tip of the day. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. All right. I'll edit that one down. I don't want to save either of these. No. No. All right, let's look at roofs real quick. Since is it Hamza Hussein or Hamza Hussein? Do you have a preference? I'm going to take a look at some projects, some of my residential projects, and let's see some roofs. Now, the other thing too is I need to clarify, when you say residential roof, my residential roofs are hipped gabled roofs with, wood frame structure. I'm not sure where you're coming from in terms of what your residential roofs look like, but let's take a look at some of these. So 2024. Nope. So I did one recently, and it's gonna have to upgrade. So we have to be patient. But that. craftsman style roofs. Let's see here. We'll do an impromptu roof session. So here's the thing. I want to make sure we get our verbiage correct, because you're talking about curves on a craftsman style roof. This really isn't a craftsman roof. This is more of a French roof. Your craftsman bungalow roofs don't typically have a lot of curves, and they have a lot of like supporting frilly stuff like that. So I want to make sure that I understand correctly. Is French Eve roof rude roof? French. There we go. Concave curves. Is this what you're talking about? Where the eave has a curve to it? All right, curved hip roof. Let's see. I think that's just the same picture we saw a second ago. That doesn't have a picture of it. Right. There's one right there. Right. So in chat, if you can just confirm that that's what you're looking for, that's what I'll check on. There's actually somebody showing how to do it in Revit. But if that is what you're talking about, this is that's not what I meant to do. This is a good diagram on how we want to start thinking about this, right? Because in Revit, we want to model things the way they're going to be built. Okay. So how is this going to be built in real life? Well, this is one example here. You're going to terminate your normal rafter short of the end of the joists, right? Typically your rafters, they tail into the end like this right here, and they'll rabbit into the joists. Okay. But you can see what they do essentially is they put like a little, I don't know if I call this a sleeper or an extension that kind of sticks out to the end of the joists. And then they change the slope, and essentially they take that plywood or whatever substrate you have, and they kind of curve it, right? They smooth it out over that. So how do you get this right here? And I'm going to go over how I did it in this project. Okay. And it's not really pretty, all right, but it can get you most of the way there. Okay. So you can see here, I've got kind of a curve on the roof, right? It's a little deceiving because you can see that with the slope here, it didn't quite work, because when I do this, I'm using a profile, right? So I'm using a fascia, and this fascia uses a profile, a French Eve detail, right? And if I open up, we're just going to drill down into these pieces real quick. So if I go down to my profiles and I look at the French Eve detail, let's edit that. Okay, you can see all it is, and this is just for the roof. I didn't do for the structure or anything like this. All it is I sketched the overhang that I needed. And so you can imagine right here is where the roof is, this origin. Okay. This is where the roof goes. And you have to draw this with the roof slope in mind. Okay. So in this case, I drew this specifically for what the main slope was on this roof. So on this roof, the main slope is 1212. All right. And the secondary slope is 1012. So if I wanted to have that French curve accurate on this side also, I would need to make a 1012 version of this profile. Let me know if that makes sense. If not, okay. I'm going to make another roof and show you how it would work in just a gable. So just a gable like this and not a hip. And hopefully that'll help solidify the foundation, and then you can take that and apply it however you want. And this is actually a good let me reset the camera here. This is actually a good, oh, I've got something selected, that's why it's not working. Good example of what really happens here, right? Okay, so this whole thing, okay, this roof, and I actually modeled this in place. This is a sweep that I used the profile for. So if I select profile, you can see that I used that profile that I drew, right? And then I picked the edge of the roof to sweep all the way around. Now it only works where the roof is 12-12. So you can see here, this is a 10-12 pitch front to back. So it doesn't work there. But if we come look here, it meets up pretty nicely with the slope of the roof. All right. So let me make a new roof real quick and just show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to make a roof, and we have a 12-12 profile. So I'm going to make a 12-12 pitch. So define slope, 12 inches. There we go. Okay, so this is a 12-12 pitch roof. Let me make sure that I'm using the same settings here. So 2-cut plumb. It's got to be very specific, 2-cut plumb. And then I should be able to, we might have to relearn how to do this. It's been a minute. I'm going to apply the fascia, and I think I used the bottom. Nope. I did the, I did the French eaves. There we go. Nope. Maybe it's the top. Boy, I'll tell you what. There we go. So I click the top edge of the roof. Okay. And there we've got our roof. Okay. With a French curve. In 3D, if I want to hide that line, I can use Lineworks and then do invisible line. There we go. There we go. It blends a little bit better. You can see that the material is not going to line up very well. Okay. And truthfully, I can't really, I won't ever really be able to get this to line up perfectly because this is a curved surface, right? So I also built this out to where I think if I do a soffit, oh, you know what? I think I just did it all as a fascia. So cancel. Roof, fascia, soffit. Do I do the top or bottom for this? I think I did the bottom. There we go. Okay. So there's a little bit of cheating going on, right? From this elevation, it's going to look fine. But from this elevation, I'm going to have to do a little bit of drafting in the view to get that to clean up. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go to caching. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you asking that. Any tips when it comes to designing facades? Let's come to that a little bit later. Let me finish this roofs thing here real quick. And I'm assuming you mean specifically in Revit. Narrow duplex I'm working on. Not necessarily the design process, but the actual process of designing it in Revit. You said designing facades, but I'm not sure. So let's look at that elevation. Here's that side elevation. So you can see I just added a masking region on top of it. That would be the closed piece that's on there, right? Okay. So a little bit of sleight of hand. And you can also see that I did some work to try to hide that right there. And you know what? This house is being built. So it's not like this didn't work. Let's see here. If we look at some of the other ones, there you go. So you can see how this looks from the front elevation. If you remember, the eave didn't line up correctly with the roof, but I used line work tool again to make that hide. Okay. What the Koyo? Is that what it's called? Pollo roof framing. Did I do research on that and find that that's what it's called and just forgot? Pollo roof. That is what it's called. There you go. So you're asking about that, and now you know. Let's see here. Pollo roof framing. Oh, I guess sometimes you can put an X on it and sometimes you don't have to. I'm pretty sure it's French though, in origin. Anyway, hopefully that helped. So let's see here. I'm going to, let me look real quick before I get to the facade design. I am actually using this session to record some things. So let me see how this last recording went. And see the screenshots folder. Date. There it is. Let's see how this sounds. All right, today's Revit tip of the day is going to be, if you're working, it sounds pretty good. It gets really annoying when you try is that it happens after unloading. I right click, and now it the structural. This is a there's your. I need to put together a. I'm going to have to edit that last bit out. Oh, I think I can do that in YouTube though. But I want to put together I need to put together like a splash screen and all that stuff. Anyway. Dare I do that now? I mean, I've got it film on here. I could put together, I'm not ready for this. I do not have the assets for putting that together. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to edit this live. I'm just going to do the recordings live and then I'll edit them later. Although, I mean, it's got to be done at some point, right? Hey. All right, what was the next tip? The next tip that I was going to work on. Wall profiles. All right. I've noticed in a lot of projects I end up cleaning that people tend to misuse wall profiles. I still run into this. I cannot believe, when was this? This is 2008. September of 2008, I posted this. And I run into this on a daily basis when I'm looking in Revit Office. And I can't believe that people still don't know how to use wall profiles properly. All right. What I end up running across most commonly is a wall that may have needed to be profiled at one point, but is no longer profiled, or a wall that has had the sketch moved from the reference lines of the wall. Image coming up shortly. I don't think I ever did. Nope. Is that image actually not there? Or okay. Like everything else in Revit, profiles do require a little bit of planning and should not just be the result of rushing into the edit profile tool because you need the wall to act differently. Some things to keep in mind when you need to edit the profile of the wall. When someone drags the wall in, should the length change? Is this a fixed shape that is completely unconstrained from the original wall profile? Does the wall height need to be controlled from the wall property dialog? Does the wall need to join cleanly with other walls around it? Okay, let's take one specific case as an example. I have a wall that is not joining properly. where a profile sketch has been applied to a wall. Kind of wish I had the images now. I wonder if I can, let's see if I can find those images. That's not what I was looking for. There we go. Yeah. All right, media. What am I looking for? What is the name of that? Walldrawing.png. Walldrawing.png. Okay, the image is there. There's just nothing there. Interesting. All right, what about the other one? Wall edges. Wall edges. Same thing. Image is there. It's just blank. That's so weird. Okay. All right. First thing that we note, select top, it shows that the profile edge of the wall and the referenced edge of the wall do not match. While this does not necessarily mean that something is wrong, it was my first clue as to what the culprit was. Let me read that again. The first thing we note is that when we select the wall on top, it shows that the profile edge of the wall and the reference edge of the wall do not match. These arrows show where the wall reference is versus the wall profile. Okay, I think I understand that. Yeah. When we edit the profile of this wall, we see the issue is none of the sketch lines are locked to the reference lines of the original wall shape. This means that Revit really has no clue what to do with the wall edge, so it leaves it alone without connecting to anything. All right, so before I go any further on this, let me just explain what's going on with this. This is kind of for me to refresh my memory, but also if you're watching, I'm sure it's for a reason. So hopefully this will help you out a little bit. So let me start a new project. Man, I really wish that I had my template. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I think I actually have it somewhere. It's just not here. Let's see. Hey, look at that. Base templates. RT. Let us download. And then let's put this here. Oh, wait, nope. It goes here. Right. Create things. Revit templates. There we go. That one. Let's use that one. Okay. That's not how this should start. No. No. It's supposed to start here. All right. So if I've got a wall, let's just do Let's just do a wall. Yo. All right. Now let's look at these. Let's look at these issues one by one. Okay. When someone drags the wall in, should the length change? Okay. So when I drag the end of the wall, hopefully the wall changes, right? The end of the wall goes with it. But what happens if somebody changes the profile? Okay. So I'm going to remove that constraint. All right. So now you can see when I select the wall, I get these dashed lines. This is the actual length of the wall, right? And if I change the length of the wall now, that profile doesn't update. Okay. And so what has happened is somebody, for some reason, instead of using this to drag the wall, right, and change the length, they did edit profile, which I'm double clicking it, but up here you can hit edit profile, right? And they moved the edge of the wall, right, off of the reference. And what I mean by reference here is if I make, oh, wow, it doesn't show it. Okay. It used to be when you edited the profile, it would show you the reference lines. I don't know why it's not. That's kind of odd. That's frustrating. All right. But you can see it at least when you hover over it. You can see that the reference of the wall still exists. Okay. And the same thing happens if I were to go in and change the height, right? I get this dialog box that says remove constraints. It's telling me that I'm changing, I'm removing a constraint from something. All right. So if I finish that sketch, okay. And actually Revit gave me a warning here. Let me go back. Let's look at that warning. So if I come here and I change this, I'm going to remove constraints, close that, right? The best way to control top and base of the wall is to modify the constraints and offset parameters in the properties dialog. You do not use edit profile to do this. That is what Revit is saying, right? And so what happens now is same thing, right? If I try to change the actual references of the wall, okay, the profile is no longer constrained to those references. Now the bottom and the left are, so if I change the constraints there, right, it's going to move with it. All right. So how do we fix this? Okay. That's kind of what this is about. All right. Let's see here. Is the fixed shape that is complete? Is this a fixed shape that is completely unconstrained from the original wall profile? Okay. Original wall profile being the reference here, right? So if I need a wall that does something weird, right? So I need a wall that has a specific shape, and I don't want it to be constrained by anything. I don't know. It's some weird design that the client wanted, and it needs to be like this. And it's untethered from the actual wall constraints. You see, it just stays there. Okay, we can do that using edit profile, right? And there are times to do this. All right. But the question that this is asking is this the intended behavior, right? Or did we want this to actually be constrained? Oh man, that really makes it difficult not being able to see that. Do we really want this to be constrained? Okay. To one of those references. So now you can see that as I move that reference, it actually gets updated. I can do the same thing with the bottom, right? Or can I? I can't actually, because I don't know where this line is. Let's see if I can force it, because I know where that constraint is now. Yeah. Okay. So as long as I know where that reference is, I can still, so the question here is, I have this shape. Do I want to be able to control it with the original constraints of the wall? So do I want to be able to say this is 2 foot above ground and the whole thing moves, right? That's what we're looking at there. All right. All right. So the third one, does the wall height need to be controllable from the wall properties dialog? All right. So if I want this to be a 40-foot object, I can't control that with this. I have to manually put that in. All right. But if I were to, oh, this is going to be tough. Let's go 0. Right. And I know that it's 40. So let's just draw something that's 40 feet tall. I'm going to start from here, 40 feet. I'm gonna hope that this works. Okay, let's go something. Oh goodness, that's what happens when you get too fast. All right, so let's simplify this a little bit. There we go. So I drew a line that's 40 feet. It just happened to be on that reference. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it does. Okay, so now if I select this wall and I change this to 35 feet, I can control the height of the wall, height of this object, using the parameters. And that's what that third question is. Does the wall height need to be controllable from the wall property dialog box? All right. And then lastly, does the wall need to join cleanly with other walls around it? Okay, so if we go back to our floor plan and I draw a wall here, whoop, sure, that'll work. Okay, what about here? Can I join there? I can. All right. Back to 3D. That's what that looks like. Okay. So if I'm messing with these profiles, is the wall going to join cleanly? Oh goodness. Can I not? Bam. Take that, rather. Okay, so what does that join look like now? It still looks pretty clean. It actually cleaned up pretty nicely. All right. But you can see that we've got a little bit of questioning going on there. All right. And that's, I mean, clearly that's because we don't have something really going on here. So in plan, it looks like it joined pretty nicely, but really, you know, that's not ideal. So do we need those joins to be clean? Right? These are all considerations when working on your profiles, but that's not really the point of this tip of the day. The point of this tip of the day is, what do we do to fix it? Okay, so now what? Well, we want to preserve our original profile lines because those are correct, but we want to retain the locks to the reference lines so that Revit can handle walls joins properly. So to start off, we need to copy the profile sketch line. So we select the wall, go in the profile, sketch mode by selecting edit profile. By selecting one of the lines, you can see that they're not locked to the reference plane on the right, which is the plane that indicates the side of the wall forming the join we are looking at. Oh, smokes, that was a sentence. Go ahead and select all of the sketch lines, favorite tool, hover over the line, hit tab once to select the entire loop of lines and copy them to the clipboard. Yep. We need to remove the sketch from the wall now, but before you do that, you want to make sure that the constraints of the wall are such that you will not lose any inserts or conflicts with too many other walls. Once you have checked this, go ahead and select the wall again. Remove the profile by clicking remove profile. There used to be a remove profile option. Now it's just reset profile. That's funny. Let's see here. Now we want to add the original profile back to the wall. Select the wall one more time. Enter sketch mode by clicking edit profile. Before we continue, select one of the profile lines here. Notice that not only are the lines on top of the reference lines for the wall, but they are locked. This means that when the constraints of the wall changes, the lines move with those reference planes. That's what we looked at earlier. We want to preserve those locks in order for Revit to properly join the walls. Go ahead and hit Control V, the lines, and paste the lines back into the sketch. Move the lines that are different from the original lines into place. I usually pick a common point to anchor from. In this case, the bottom left. Man, I really wish I had pictures for this. Oh, wait. No. Yeah. So I start my copy point and end the copy on the same point on the new loop. Be sure you disjoin the line so that the original loop doesn't stretch. Remove the remainder of the lines, you paste in blah, 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 blah. So I think the point of that is if this ended up being not on the references, yeah, that's fine. Remove those constraints. Right? This ended up being like this. Okay. Oh, I guess that line is actually still on the point. All right, there we go. But I needed it to be moved, right, with this wall. I don't want to get rid of this wall. the wall's in the right place. I don't want to redraw it, but I need to reset how this works. Okay. So what we do is we go into the profile, we select the lines, we cut them, or we cut them. I copied them. That's fine. Okay. And we can close that. Yep. And now we reset profile. Now we've got a solid wall, and I'm going to go ahead and actually just reset the wall height as well. Okay. Now I'm going to go back into the profile, and you can see it doesn't actually do that anymore. It doesn't show that those walls are locked to a reference, which is really annoying. That's got to be, is this an issue with the elevation that I have set up? Let's see. No. Oh, wait, there we go. Yeah. Oh. Is it because it's an exterior elevation? Surely not. Anyway, so you can see that it actually shows that these lines are locked, right? That's what I was looking for before. And if I unlock that, right, it's no longer constrained. There's my reference line right there. Okay. For the wall. So what I want to do now is, now that I've got the profile, I'm editing it. What I want to do is I want to paste, all right, hit Control V, all right, I can put this anywhere I want, but if I want these two lines to be controlled by the reference lines, I need to put these, there we go. I need to put this on that reference line, right? So I'm going to put that right there. I need to get rid of my overlapping lines. Bam, just like that. And there's two philosophies here. One is that Revit is smart enough to know that I want these to be on the reference lines and it'll pick it up. The other one is that I need to lock it. Let's try this first to see if yep, there we go. All right, it picked it up. And then let's see here. If I do this, yep, it moves it there also. Okay, great. Okay, it even joins nicely. All right, so we have fixed the profile now to be controlled. Now, if I wanted it to be this distance here, right, I could bring my reference to the edge of this wall, and I can actually edit this. If this touches this reference, I think, just like that. Okay, yeah, there we go. You can see that now controls the profile. Okay, so that's where we're at. That's what this tip is going to be about. So let me think just a minute. How do I want to represent this? Okay, I think I had a pretty good point about right here. Hello, there we go. Yeah, where it's just kind of disassociated from everything. And let's just make the wall ridiculous, right? So we can come here and let's make a new elevation that works for what we want to do. Okay. I can't remember. Oh, you know what? I don't need this elevation to be cropped. Let's just, there we go. All right, let's see. All right, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, these are all disassociated. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to put this where I'm kind of wanting it to be, to demonstrate that just because it's where I need it to be doesn't mean it's working the way I want it to be. Okay. What is that wanting? Revit's telling us that we've done something dumb. All right. Okay. So I think I've got my plan. I'll go ahead and record this. And I'm going to go ahead and ask the question. Kashing, are you still there? If you are still watching, just give me a yep in chat. And when I'm done recording this, we'll maybe talk about facade design in Revit. All right, welcome back to another Revit tip of the day. Going through my catalog of old tips, I found this one about broken wall profiles. And essentially, this is, what do you do when somebody has done something in a wall where they needed a specific shape, but now you can't control the wall using any of the normal Revit controls, right? So if I change this to 0 feet, it's not going to move the wall, right? If I change the height to 40 feet, it's not going to change the height of the wall. And you can see what's going on here. The profile has been changed to the point where it's no longer constrained to the references. So we want to keep this shape, but we want to be able to control it using these parameters. How do we do that? Well, the easiest way to do that is going to be to go into Edit Profile and make a few changes. But first, you need to understand a few of the fundamentals of what's going on. I have an elevation here that's pointed at this wall, okay? If we go into this elevation, we can hover over the wall and we see that we have our wall, and then we have the extents of the actual wall. So we can see here, this wall, the base is minus 8 foot 9 inches. That's this guy right here. And then it's 51 feet unconnected. That's from here to the base of the wall, right? So if I make these changes here, ideally we would want the actual wall to move with it. And that's not happening because our profile is disassociated from the reference lines. Okay. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to select all these lines. I'm going to hover over one of these lines and hit tab to select all of them. And I'm going to click to actually make that selection. And I'm going to copy, all right, Control C. And then I'm going to get out of the sketch and I'm just going to reset the profile. All right. I'm just going to blow that out. All right. And what I really want to do now is I want to get this wall kind of looking back to where I need it to be. I'm going to change this to the base at 0 feet, and I'm going to change the top to 40 feet. All right. This is kind of the extent of the space that this wall is going to be in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit profile again. And now I'm going to use Control V to bring our sketch in. All right. I can kind of put that anywhere. And you can see now that these lines for the original wall, you see they're locked to the references. I want to put my sketch on those reference lines. So I really don't need these anymore. So I'm going to tab to select and then delete those. And I'm going to tab to select and I'm going to move my profile down to the endpoint. Okay, there it is. This line is on the reference plane. This line is on the reference plane for the wall extents. And if I finish now, Revit actually is smart enough to know, hey, that line is on the reference. So it's now constrained to the wall references. All right, same thing on this side. If I go over here, thank you for that. If I go over here, all right, the wall moves there as well. But what about this side? If I come over here and I change this, it's still not associated. So if we go back to our elevation, all right, I can take this line and I can actually, you see how it snaps to that reference? I'm just going to drag it there and let go of it. Then we're going to finish. And now this edge also controls our wall profile. Now that's a little funky, but it might be what I want. I might want some little parametric design. That's fine. But the point here is that I've now reassociated this wall to the parameters. Now I haven't done anything to the top. So if I change the top constraint, you can see the reference changes, but the wall does not. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But you now know how you can make that association with other parts of the references of the wall. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon. All right, let's just check that one real quick. I see that you are still around. We'll see what we can do. Let's just make sure this recorded okay. Needed this wall. There we go. All right. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so let me go back and read any tips when it comes to designing facades, specifically a narrow duplex. So I guess the question is, just for clarification, are you wanting to know how to, you got a design and you want to put it into Revit? Or are you wanting to design in Revit, maybe multiple iterations of something? And you're just not sure how to accomplish that. Can you clarify which one of those maybe you're looking at? And I think, let me think through maybe your project that I've worked on. I really want to open the Snowden Tower project. That's okay. So the question is, just so that I know specifically what to address, are you looking to understand how to design a facade in Revit, or do you already have a design and you're wanting to know how to execute it in Revit? I think I am going to open the Snowden Towers project again. Structural. There we go. File that failed. Let's. It better be found. Program files, Autodesk, Revit, samples. Okay. Architectural. There we go. We can get rid of these. Actually, yeah, I haven't done anything to it. Okay, you don't have a design. You're struggling with that. So this is not a Revit tip. This is just a design tip, right? So I would step out of Revit and maybe get your main thing. Like, what is the main thing that you're wanting to do down on paper? Revit is not a great design tool in terms of getting those thoughts down until you have the tools and library to execute that. So I'm going to suggest you take a look at youtube.com if you're not familiar with it, Archi Marathon. And they have a playlist specifically for design fundamentals. And what I would recommend is taking a look at this what, why, how. I'm going to put this in chat. All right. They have a what, why, how, and a main thing. Okay. These are two great videos for students who are kind of unsure what they're going to do. And I would suggest investing, it's probably going to be about 30 minutes, a little more than 30 minutes looking through those two videos and see if that gets you unstuck. Because the one thing that's going to stick you the most is you get into Revit and you start modeling walls and it doesn't work. And you're like, oh, this doesn't work. I'm going to have to do it again. And then you model more walls. Oh, this doesn't work. You have to figure out why it's not working. What is your design language? All right. What's your vocabulary? So if we look at this architectural project by, I always forget who did this one. Out of the sample project supplied by Taggart Architects. That's right. Is it Taggart? No. Etienne Osu. Sorry for butchering that. This firm right here. Okay. There is a definite vocabulary that's happening with this right here. And I can guarantee you that when they started modeling it in Revit, all right, they knew what they needed the angles to be, and they knew what the facade, the split of the facade was. So they probably knew, okay, we're going to use 4x8 panels. So this is going to have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 feet wide for each of these sections, right? So they had a very exact language that they had to follow. So when they were modeling and something wasn't right, they could look back at those rules and say, okay, this isn't working because it's 22 feet because the room inside needed to be wider. Okay, what can we do to fix that? They knew what needed to be changed. You silly dogs. Oh, quiet. Hush. I don't know if you guys can fit that or not. Hey, stop. I'm talking to people. So they knew, the designer knew what needed to change if something didn't feel right, right? So I would step back, get some paper and pen out, and write down your main theme, right? What are you trying to accomplish? Why are you trying to accomplish it? And then the how is you get it into Revit, right? You don't necessarily need to know how it's built. It does help in Revit to understand how it's built, right? So earlier we were talking about how do we model a French curve roof eave, okay? And so this detail is actually something that I use to help me understand, okay, I need to have a profile that posts right at the corner of the roof so that this curve can be attached to the roof and create that French curve, right? Understanding that in the geometry helped me know how I needed to execute it, how to execute it. So yeah, unfortunately, this isn't a Revit question, but I'm happy to talk design a little bit. But these guys right here, they'll get you on the right path. You should definitely just go through the whole thing, especially the how to survive critique, right? Kevin here is actually, he's taught classes, architecture classes in Australia. Andrew's a practicing architect in Australia as well. They're good buddies, and they tag team this whole thing and did some of the best architectural videos on the internet. So I would highly recommend checking them out. Okay, let's see here. How long have we been going? An hour and 9 minutes plus the 40 minutes that it took me to troubleshoot earlier. I think what's this last one? Oh yeah, let's look and see if the physical materials dialogue still gets jacked up. Let's go look at some materials. And let's recap what the issue was to begin with. All right. This issue is brought to my attention by a fellow RevitCity.com chatter. He noted that when trying to change the properties in the physical properties tab of a material, everything goes back to default when you try to save the parameter subset. So let's see if that's even still an issue. Physical. Let's see. Physical assets. Let's just do aluminum. Can we add the editor? There we go. So if we want to change this, let's just be 10, right, and 1. Is this even an issue anymore? It does not appear to be. Yeah. So this tip wasn't even a problem. This isn't even an issue anymore. So I'm not even going to bother with whatever this convoluted tip was that I had. It's nixed. Autodesk actually fixed something since 2009 when I posted this. Let's see here. Everything goes back to default when you try to save the parameter subset. I'm not sure I even understand that anymore. Parameter subset. It's got to be, wait, where's my explanation? Change the behavior to orthotropic. Change the parameters you want to change and apply it. Change the behavior back to isotropous. Make sure the parameters are how you want them, and enter the parameters again and hit apply. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know that I get this one anymore. So we're going to say that one's no longer an issue, and I'm not going to deal with this one. What's the next one? Is the next one pretty quick? I might be able to knock one more out, and then I'm going to go do a few more things, and maybe I'll come back and stream some more when I edit these together to get them uploaded. While watching Will Harris's Rockstar Hour today, I recall how many people I've come across that did not know how walls work in Revit. Some still don't. While the tip of the day is not designed to be a full-blown lesson, I have prepared a couple tips for placing walls. One, making a box of walls in a clockwise motion will result in the exterior layer of the wall being on the outside of the box. This is true and very helpful if you're doing exterior, interior side walls. Making a box of walls in a counterclockwise motion will result in the exterior layer of the wall being on the inside of the box. Use this knowledge to make sure you're placing a wall with the exterior layer in the correct orientation to avoid problems later in your project. This is demonstrated in the video below. Yeah, I can demonstrate this one really. This will actually be a quick one. I can get this one out of the way pretty quick. So what I'm talking about here, and I'm actually going to, I don't have any wall types in this project here. So I'm going to transfer project standards. Oh my goodness, my keyboard shortcuts are not in here. Creative things. Revit. Documents. Keyboard shortcuts. That's going to be as close as I get, I'm afraid. Overwrite, please. Okay, transfer project standards is still not. Oh my goodness. Transfer project standards. CPS. Damn. Okay. What? Oh, I'm in the stare command. It was probably working and it's okay, wall types. Sometimes Revit be like that. Wall types. Let's just do new only. I don't care. Getting close to that time of the day where the sun's going to make it impossible to actually do any work. All right. So if I make a wall, let's find a wall that has, okay, this has ephes on metal stud. That'll be an easy one to see. So this wall definitely has exterior and interior layer. All right. This is the flip. If you didn't know this, the flip arrow is always on the exterior side of the wall. And what do I mean by that? If we go to edit type and edit the structure, all right, do a little preview here. You can see, here we go. This is the exterior side of the wall. This is the interior side of the wall. Okay, so I've got the exterior side selected. That's the ephes insulation. And the interior side is the 1/2 inch layer of drywall. All right, so if we compare that to this, we can see that on the exterior is the ephes and on the interior is the drywall. Okay, so this tip is about understanding where you are drawing, what direction you're drawing your wall. Okay, so if I'm going to draw a square house and I want the exterior of my wall to be on the exterior side of the box, I would need to draw it in a clockwise direction, clockwise being the way the clock goes. So if I draw it like this, all right, you can see that the exterior, the ephes insulation, is on the exterior of my house. So interior being the enclosed space, exterior being the not enclosed. And we can confirm that by selecting the wall and seeing that the flip control is on the exterior of the wall. All right. If I draw it in a counterclockwise motion, okay, we can see that the exterior of the wall is now on the interior, right? exterior, just like that. Right? So direction that you draw your walls, that's what that's about. All right, what's the next part? That'll be a pretty easy one to do. The double control arrows always appear on the exterior of the wall you have constructed as demonstrated. And there you go. All right, this one's real simple. Okay. Hopefully everyone who's used Revit for a while knows this, but if you didn't, the exterior, it's always on that side. Okay. If you click it, it flips around your location line. All right. Maybe I'll make that the third tip because I think I can do 3 of these in a quick 5-minute video. Okay. So I think I can do that real quick. We'll do those 3 tips. Direction that you draw, the flip arrow is always on the exterior, and that the flip is around the location line. I can do those really quick. So I'm going to go ahead and let's record those. Welcome back to another Revit tip of the day. Today, I've got 3 quick wall tips for you when you're drawing walls. And these, if you've been using Revit for a while, you probably know these, but it's going to be something that if you're new to Revit or you haven't been using it long enough or paying attention, you might not have noticed this. They're very helpful. Let's see what they are. The first is when you're drawing a wall, if you draw in a clockwise motion, the exterior wall will always be on the exterior of your box. So what do I mean by this? This wall definitely has an exterior and an interior. All right. If we look at the structure, we can see that the exterior of the wall is the EIFS insulation and the interior is the 1/2-inch gypsum board, as demonstrated here. Now, if I want the EIFS insulation to be on the exterior side of a square house, or we'll just say rectangular, I would want to draw the wall in a clockwise direction, right? So we can see the EIFS insulation is on the exterior of the box. If I draw the walls in a counterclockwise direction, we can see that the EIFS is on the interior of that same box. Oh, let's clean that up. All right, so EIFS on the interior, EIFS on the exterior. Well, how do we know which side is the interior and exterior of the wall just by looking at it? And that brings us to tip number 2. Any wall that you select will have a flip control button where you can flip the wall. That flip control will always be on the exterior of a wall. So you can see the flip control is on the side with the EIFS insulation, as we saw in the assembly structure dialog earlier. And if I select this one where the exterior of the wall is on the interior of the box, the flip control is on the interior of the box instead of the exterior. So when I click that, how do I know what's going to happen? Well, let's talk about tip number 3. When you click the flip control, it's going to flip around your location line. The location line is going to be defined in your properties. So we can see here, the location line for this is core face exterior. Okay. If I change this to wall center line, those grips are going to move to where that line is. And if I were to flip the wall, it's going to flip around that location line. So if I change this to finish face interior, we can see that the grips are now on the interior of the wall. And when I click the flip control, it flips around that line. This is going to be very helpful when you want a wall to stay right where it's at when you flip. So if I change the location line to wall center line and flip, the interior and exterior faces of the wall are going to stay in the exact same place. But if I want the interior face of the wall to stay where it's at when I flip, I can change the location line to finish face interior. And then when I flip, that line is going to be in the exact same spot that it was. Thanks for watching. Hope these tips are helpful, and we'll see you next time. How to dimension in Revit for permit drawings. Oh yeah, I can definitely help you with that. And really, this is going to come down to what does your jurisdiction require for permit drawings? Okay, that I won't be able to help you with, because I don't know what jurisdiction you're going for the other Revit. Let me check this real quick. Yeah, flips around. That should be good. Okay, so let me open up a project that I've done permitting for. Open Sesame projects. Let's see here. Since you were asking about residential earlier, I will open up a residential project. I like this one. This one's a good one. We'll do that. You can see that there are a lot of versions of it. I think after this one, I'm going to wrap up for the afternoon. I've got a few more things that I need to go take care of. And then maybe this evening, I'll be back to do some editing on those videos. And we'll get at least one of them posted today. So appreciate you guys sticking around and keeping me company while I do this. Let's see if anyone else has got anything that they're, nope. Okay. So this was a add-on for a house with a point cloud, as you can see. All right. So this is the existing house. And then we did this add-on right here. All right. So for permitting, what I like to do is I like to give the city a few things. Do I have a site plan? Yeah, here we go. All right. So I need to give the city dimensions on the site, the distance of the building from the site, okay, the area, how much new stuff is being added, okay. So we've got some new unconditioned interior and some new conditioned exterior, right? So, you know, what are they needing for permitting? What do they need to know? I'm going to give that to them, but I'm going to give it to them in the same format that the contractor needs in order to price out their project. My permit sets, I like my permit sets to basically be a bid set where the contractor can look at it and get a price. Sometimes we need to do more for actual construction details. A lot of the residential contractors are guys that have been doing this for 30 years, and I don't need to be told by an architect how to build some stairs. So I don't do stair details for them. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste the owner's money. And sometimes the contractor comes back and says, so it turns out I don't know how to build stairs. Can you detail that for me? So we'll go and do that. But until then, my dimensions are very basic, very plain. Okay. I do an overall, and actually this isn't just for permitting. This is all my projects. I do overall dimensions, and this is to the face of the slab. Okay. So if I change this real quick to fine, okay, you'll see that all my dimensions are the face of the stud, and the stud sits on the slab, right? So all of my dimensions are to the face of the stud, all right? Because you don't want somebody who hasn't graduated high school that's putting studs down on your floor to have to do math, divide the width of a stud to figure out where your center line dimension is going to go. They want to know what line to chalk on the floor to put the stud on. right? So all my dimensions are the face of stud, right? I do an overall, and then I do a shape of the building, which I don't know. So this one, it looks like I went a little cheap. I just did the walls and the shape, but I'll show you what I mean by this here in just a second. I'll just break down what this is like. So I've got overall, and then I've got the walls and open walls, and then the openings I'm actually doing with a call out. So this is a 4014. I probably should have dimensioned where that window is supposed to go. Wow, I missed all of these. Somebody wasn't happy with me. Typically I would dimension these, so I'll do that as an exercise here in just a minute. All right. So overall, shape of building, and then walls and openings is typically how I do this. So I'm going to copy this drawing, and then without detailing, and then I'm going to throw some dimensions on here so you can kind of see how I would do this. Ignore this. This has to do with the base offset. Typically it would be cleaned up. I would usually do something like this right here. Whoa, that is not what I was wanting to do. There we go. Let's miter that. Now it's cleaned up. Do I have that anywhere else? No. Okay. So I'm just going to dimension this. What do they call it? Add-on. That's what it is. And we'll go from there. You guys. All right. So dimension tool, since I do the face of the core, right? I've defined the core of this wall as the stud, right? In fact, if we go look at the assembly, it really helps to have this. You can see that in the core is just the 2x4 framing, right? So we hit OK. Get out of that. And then let's go back to my dimensions. And then in the options, instead of wall faces, I'm going to do faces of core. So now you can see that it snaps to the face of the stud, right? So I'm going to do it overall. There we go. And then I'm going to do, there's no shape of the building on this side. You'll see what that means here in just a second. So my next level, the next hierarchy level in my dimensions is just going to be the face of stud of these. And I should probably, I'm going to do a center dimension on this. There we go. And if I had done that, I would see that I've got an 1/8 inch dimension. I really don't want that. So I'm just going to change that to 2.9. And now I've got some nice clean dimensions. And then I can put a tag, there we go, on that. So they know that it's a 4-foot window and that it's 2'9" from this wall. I went ahead and dimensioned to the shower wall too, so they know where to put that, right? Okay. So from there, I'm going to do overall on the left side here. And I'm going to go from the end of our add-on to an existing wall. It's kind of hard to tell on this because I don't have it set up. So I'm going to do show previous and new. So now the new is kind of halftone, so I can see where an existing wall is. And so why an existing wall? I'm going to need a reference that exists there for the contractor to know where to put that benchmark for the end of this. So I could do it from this one over here, but since I'm doing this side, I'm going to go from this existing garage wall. So I'm going to go from the face of the stud here, right, to the face of the stud on the end of the building. And that's my overall dimension, right? And then I'm doing the shape of the building. So where are my bumps? Here's a bump here. I'm ignoring all the walls and the windows. All right. No more bumps. So my next dimension is just right here. There we go. It snaps out here. Okay. Next is going to be walls and openings. So we're going to go here. And I'm always consistent unless I need to break the rule to tell the story a little bit better. So you notice that on the top dimension, I did left face. So this vertical dimension, I'm going to do top face. And then I'm going to be consistent. This is an exterior. So this is the edge of my slab. I now know, I'm telling my contractor how long the face of that slab is from that dimension, right? And then when they're placing the walls, we can go from the edge of the slab 6 foot 5.5 inches to place that wall, right? And then I'm just going to do, you can do the edges or the centers. It doesn't matter. Okay. Top, and then here and here. And there we go. And we can see that I clearly, I quickly did not pay much attention to where I was putting these. So I would just make that 3-1 probably. And this is 3-1. Well, sure, we'll do 3 foot 3. And then the rest of my dimensions are okay. Right. So there we go. Overall, change the shape of the building, the bumps, ins and outs, right? Because really what all that is, I'm dimensioning the slab. So if I look at the slab, right, those dimensions that I'm putting also tells them the size of the slab. So I wouldn't need this other sheet, but I do typically put it in there. I do foundation layouts. There we go. There's the shape of the slab. Okay. And that's basically what I would do for dimensioning for permitting. Now for interior, some of these walls have not been picked up. So I know where this wall is, right? There's that dimension there. This wall would be dimensioned this way, right? So I would go here, here, and then here. So now I have no interior dimensions, but all of these walls have been picked up. So what about a wall that isn't picked up on an exterior dimension? Well, I just go straight across the room, left face. There we go. That wall is dimensioned. Okay. This wall is already dimensioned because of this, right? This wall would end up being dimensioned once I come across here. So if I did this right here, exterior to exterior to exterior to exterior, I've now dimensioned not only these exterior walls, but these walls that also line up with it. So I don't need a dimension there. I can dimension this guy pretty easily like this, right? Now, why did I dimension the top of the stud instead of the bottom? Oh, that's because I've already dimensioned this to the top face of the stud here. And you can see that. I should have paid more attention. It's okay. I actually don't know if this one was getting built or not. So anyway, that's how I dimension my permit drawings. In terms of plans, elevations, there's not a whole lot that I'm going to dimension. I'm going to give them the plate heights. So there's the existing plate height, the new plate height. Man, I really did not do this guy any favors. Typically, I would dimension to the top of the windows so they know the plate height of the windows, which is not whatever number that was, right? Okay. And any openings, I would go from there, just like that. Okay. That's how I would do elevations. I would give the slopes. Well, I don't think that's what that is. Oh, maybe it is. All right, there we go. So those are the dimensions for elevations. What else? I do sections. I don't think I usually do a whole lot of dimensioning on this unless there's something specific that needs to be called out. But this is actually a good house to do it on because this was just a bid set. I didn't do construction documents on this. So this is what the owner and the contractor took to the city for permitting, hopefully. So anyway, hopefully that helps. I'm going to wrap it up for now. I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching. And yeah, that's going to be it for right now. I might be back later today. I might come back tomorrow before the big game to do some editing and get one of those videos up. But for now, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.